Dave and Lucy have been in business for a long time. They have a great business and a great team. After years of hard work, they wanted to increase their property portfolio with their dream home. But being self-employed, they found their bank's lending criteria very restrictive. They saw Toowoomba's Edge Lending, the business lending experts. Edge Lending thinks outside the box and were able to secure a facility for Dave and Lucy to purchase the property. Edge Lending, making business lending easier.
Hey everyone, Scott from Edge Specialist Advice to me. Hope you're all well. Hey, today I'm bringing what the numbers say, and it's another graph from Visual Capitalist. We love using these guys. Today we are going to look at who has, or which country or which region has the most AI patents. Now let's have a stop and think about this. So AI is new, and I mean it's a new concept. A lot of us are still trying to get our head around what it actually does, what it means, and like the third level or flow-on effects for our daily lives. So think of driverless vehicles, you know, the AI, your phone listening to you so that it can produce ads for you. TikTok is a good version of AI, algorithms on YouTube, and these are the sort of things that we would kind of be familiar with in our day-to-day life. Some of the things that we have really not got our head around or we've forgotten to bring into concept is that AI is going to be heavily used in military, so conflicts with other countries and nations, and also enforcement, so policing, detective work, predictive policing, basically controlling the citizens of your own nation. So absolutely dystopian, absolutely horrible. I wish it would go away, but it's not going to. So some of the things that we probably haven't really been keeping our eye on. So for example, there is an AI-controlled, AI-run robot, like basically robot policeman. So basically RoboCop he's got a big dome head, 360-degree vision, dressed in a policeman's uniform. In Bangkok is where they're trialing this, so Thailand, and all with facial recognition. So it would have a wide berth on, being in the middle of a Bangkok intersection street or something. It would be data collecting everyone who walks past, collecting their face, watching. It's supposed to be able to somehow detect weapons through clothing, but obviously AI runs those sort of things. Just how else could you, I guess, expect it to deal with, consult with, arrest the public when it's a robot, right? So it's supposed to have AI. So AI is used heavily in the military. Think of all the unmanned drones that are going on, and even some of the cyborg military fighting robots that Russia trialed in Ukraine as well. So Ukraine's been a real testing bed for a lot of the new AI autonomous weapons. And it's scary as hell. I think we're all going to die in a big ball of flames just the way. Seems to be no controls on it. But you can understand why the battlefield, the new ground of fighting, is AI, and therefore you can understand why the fight is really about AI chips. You can understand why the US is really scared because China's taken a big leap ahead of it in AI, especially in military space tech, and the US is trying to quickly claw its way back. It's trying all sorts of things. It's trying to choke China off with access to specialized chips, so computer chips that assist with AI. It's trying to make sure it doesn't get some of the AI tech that it's got. It's using tariffs. It's trying to use currency wars. It's losing badly. It's trying to use public opinion. It's everything short of actually firing rockets. It's trying to do because it knows that it's behind the eight ball. It's trying to catch up, and it doesn't want to lose its number one spot as the biggest power in the world, and also lose that spot as the biggest military power in the world. And it actually is way behind. So the conjoining of Russia, China, and Iran means that America and the rest of the world is pretty much fifth and sixth place. However, they're not going down without a fight. So let's have a look at who has all the patents in the world. So let's have a look at this graph. So 2010 to 2023. So the data's a little bit old, but it's the percentage of the AI patents. So who holds all the intellectual property for all the flash crazy AI stuff that's coming out in the world? And you can see that from that 2015 2016 period, that China just soared ahead. US took a massive dive. So the US used to be like here at 40%. In 2010 they were still on top, and China was way down here. But something's happened. So whether China's developed an amazing amount of very, very smart children coming in at university, which I would think that would be correct because they focus heavily on STEM in their schooling and their maths, and they're usually 3 years ahead of our maths. So our kids in our grade 8, China's actually doing grade 11 maths of what ours would be in grade 8, and they don't bother doing all the social sciences and gender studies and philosophy and lots of stuff, and they just get their people into doing university courses that are for the future. So maybe for all those people all my friends who work at universities and you're wondering why there's all these layoffs, you're not adding value to the future, unfortunately, with a lot of the courses that are being laid out, which is a really sad thing to see. But you can see again. Let's have a look at this. So China at 2023 holds almost 70% of the AI global patents. The US only holds 14. Like there's daylight between those, right? So that is another good example of what is happening and why the US feels so combative. Tariffs were a bit of a sleight of hand. Tariffs globally were a sleight of hand. This has been all about China and China utilizing its neighbors like Vietnam and stuff to sidestep sanctions and things. But this is all really about a lot of the superiority of technology that China has surpassed the US like in leaps and bounds. Russia as well, and Iran, believe it or not, is there. People don't understand how technically savvy Iran actually is, and you can see the wide gap then, and you can see why this is the US's and probably the West's last throw of the dice to try and catch up. I don't think they won't surpass them in superiority. It's impossible. That is left. But what they're trying to do is the US is trying to catch up to close the gap so that you might come back to a world where there's 2 or 3 major powers. That's about as good as you can get. So the world is changing. The world is changing very, very fast. But you can see where the race has been lost and where they're trying to quickly claw their way back. And you can see that they won't catch them. And the best they can hope for is to, each pull back into, I guess, their own neighborhood and be the ruler of their own neighborhood, which is what would make sense why Trump wants to control more of Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal. He wants to control the Western Hemisphere. China wants to control all of Asia, including Australia. I'm sorry to say that we've been asleep at the wheel for the last 50 years, giving all our stuff away for free. And Russia will really control Europe. And so technologically, that looks like that's what's going to happen. America says they've got weapons that are unheard of, and there's the best and most beautiful weapons ever. Who knows? I don't know. That could all be bullcrap. I kind of don't. I hope they don't, because if they have to use them, that means they're going to just wipe everyone off the face of the earth. Nuclear weapons are pretty much becoming obsolete once they start using the energy-based weapons. Which I've even seen the Australian Defence. The Australian Federal Police. I've seen them use that on protesters, peaceful protesters down outside Parliament House back in 2021. I think the Million March protest. Even those guys trialled some of their energy weapons and dispersed the crowd. So that's where the new world is. It's all in AI, it's all in tech, and the race has been lost by the West by the look of it. And I think we're just trying to have a bit of a catch up and a clawback. And the US and especially is trying to use every quiver in every arrow they've got in their quiver just to try, because they can't just be a one-pronged approach. They need everything. They're trying to do it, financially. They're trying to, bully them. They're trying to do it militarily, sabotage, cyber attacks, whatever. Stealing the US stealing intellectual property from China. Yeah, that'll be definitely happening as well. So they're trying anything they can to try and close that gap. So what is that going to mean to us as investors? Well, we know where the future is. The future is really in China and tech. Can we invest in that play? Yes, we can. It's not hard to do. Tech is getting smashed at the moment because the West is saying, no, we're going to choke this tech off. You're not going to get the componentry. We want to bring you down so that we can catch up. So you would think then as an investor that those Chinese tech companies or whatever tech companies they are going to have a lot of issues in the future. However, you can't stop that trajectory. Short of World War III, which is on the bingo card, where we've seen gold is going to be a very, very, very strong performer. But some of the space and military tech is, based upon what's really driving all these tariffs and trying to keep the superiority. So as investors, we need to understand the trajectories. The trajectories are in that AI and military tech. It's the surveillance world. That's why cybersecurity and those sort of things have been doing very, very well in our portfolio. Military is going to do very, very well. And because military will do well, and because that brings conflict, and it will bring conflict when 2 great powers are fighting, then gold always gets a bid, because gold is a global safe haven. And at the moment, it looks like Bitcoin is trying to also act like gold instead of the NASDAQ. So it looks like it's trying to act like it's not a tech thing. It's more a hard asset. I do agree with the premise. I don't think the world is ready to treat it like that yet. So when everything sells off, including gold, when everything starts selling off, you have 50% pullback. Gold might pull back 5 to 10%, but Bitcoin should pull back 35, 40% as well. So prepare for those volatility. All of my clients or friends who have got some allocation to Bitcoin as well. All right, that's what the numbers say. Everything is AI. Even policing is going to AI. Robots robot policemen on the streets of Bangkok. There's been robot soldiers fighting in Ukraine for quite a while. AI drones, everything we haven't been seeing. We haven't been shown where the tech is, and we have not been given them information to show who's the leader by a long shot, militarily and just in society, in which country that is, and that's China. And you can understand why the West, and especially the US, is just shitting itself. So, all right, guys, that's enough from me. Remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. See ya.
Phil owned an established business and it was really starting to grow. But he was using credit cards as an overdraft, had overdue accounts from suppliers, as well as a tax debt with the ATO. He needed to consolidate this debt and free up working capital. He saw Toowoomba's Edge Lending, who helped him replace these high-interest debts with one simple facility with lower repayments. Edge Lending Solutions, helping established businesses to grow.